Honestly, everything that could go wrong in one trade happened to me just last week on the stock CARV. If any of you guys know, past couple weeks, penny stocks have been crazy. They've been moving around like nuts. And I ended up trading CARV on a day where, well, you probably shouldn't have traded it long bias. The initial trade would have been okay if literally a snowballing effect of errors and things that I couldn't have control happened. So it's actually pretty funny. You guys are probably going to get a kick out of this. So let's get into it. All right. The first thing I want to point out is this box here. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. Long story short, on this platform, you need to have this box open in this window if you'd like to trade stocks pre-market. And sometimes I do. So what happened was the market opens. I tried to get long on this stock at like 15.50, okay? But I had my order classification as GTC EXT, and if any of you guys know, that means to trade pre-market in after hours. And if you have your order window classified as that during market open and you try to do a market order, it's not going to work. So I try to do a market order to get in on this position at about 15.50. But my order window was classified for pre-market trading. So the order didn't go through. I get this notification that says error, you can't. And I'm like, oh shit. So then of course I changed it to what it should be, and that's day. And then by the time I clicked buy, which was 300 shares, when I clicked buy, the price was all the way up here, and I still decided to jump in because I was a little bit excited. All the penny stocks were flying. And really, you could argue maybe there was a little bit of FOMO, which normally I don't get. But anyways, I still took the long because I thought we were going to be able to break this price of, say, 17.50. At the time, that 17.50 was a major trend change point, and if we had gotten over, we could have actually seen a really big move. So I was really just trying to get in around like 15.50, trade it up to 17.50, and if we got lucky, we would break 17.50. I wasn't hoping for it, didn't really care if it happened. I just knew that we had a market move from at least 15.50 to probably 17.50 for an attempt at breaking resistance. Well, you didn't get in the first place. The order jumps up. We end up getting long, and I'll show you the trade here. Let me put that on. That'll probably help. This was just like the shit show of a trade you could possibly have. So you can see I get long here 300 shares at 16.39, which is right here. The stock gets halted, and I'm like, okay, this isn't bad. We're halted. It's going to gap up. It'll probably gap up and run up higher. Like, that's a good sign. We got momentum. It's going up. And sure enough, we gap up and we run about a point up to 17.50. So I'm up $300 and it pulls back a little bit. And I'm like, all right, we'll give it a second. I peek my head around at our chat room for about a second or two. And then I come back and we're on the next candle. And all of a sudden, the candle just breaks down. Everybody and their mom starts to panic sell. Short sellers pile in. So the stock's just getting hammered down. And then it gets halted on the downside. So I wasn't even able to get out on this big candle right here in the first place. So once this big monster candle here starts to come down, there's so many people flooding out trying to sell. I'm not able to get out. The market makers don't want to take all your shares you're trying to dump, so they're just going to let it run down. There's so much volatility to the downside, we can't exit the 300 shares. So at this point, I think we might have been down like $600 or something. Like, oh, that sucks. Great way to start the day, sport. Then the market opens, and the first thing I do is I go to sell 300 shares. Not that I'm really panicking. I just know that obviously it's not going to work out, and it's just not a good trade to be in. So I'm just going to refresh, get out of the trade, all good. So we're at about a $600 loss. Say when we're down here around like 15 or something or whatnot. The candle opens up. I go to sell my 300 shares as a market order. Well, there's still enough people panicking out that when I do the 300 share market order, the market makers give me monster slippage and pretty much fill me all the way at the bottom of this candle. You can see at 13.33. So I click to sell 300 shares up here at 14.79 when the market reopened after the halt. And then the market makers dragged my order all the way down to 13.30. Crazy. So let's explain this. I had no control over the stock halting. I couldn't get out before the halt. You may run into a situation like that if you're aspiring to be a trader. You may run into the situation where you get caught in a panic sell-off like I did, and you're not even able to get your shares out, and you'll get monster slippage, right? So I acquired another $300-400 loss that I obviously didn't want, but really couldn't even have controlled in that moment with the way I was trading. There are better ways to manage it, but I was just so ready to be done with the trade. I said, enough, I'll get out. In that time, the market makers drew my order down significantly. Now, there's going to be many of you out there that say, well, if you don't do market orders, will you just fine? Well, obviously, we all know this and blah, blah, blah. You can put your comments down below and call me a jackass if you'd like. That's okay. That's really not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to let you know if you're an aspiring trader, there will come a moment in time when you are trading the markets, maybe similar to me, and you're going to get caught in a situation like this where much of it is completely out of your control and you're just at the whims of the market. This does not happen very often. And you as a trader will get better at knowing when you should probably just avoid a stock like this on the specific day. And normally I do, but this was just different scenario. There's a lot of hype in the market and even I got drawn to it. Okay. And normally I don't. That being said, you could run into a situation like this. And that was the worst trade that I had of last week. And that was one of the first losing days I'd had in, I don't even know how long, quite a while. So it was a little frustrating. To say the least, but that's okay. We're back strong this week and we're already crushing it. So I got to say, just key advice, if you're ever going to be trading penny stocks, anything that's really low float, I mean, you got to make sure that you're not trading them too late after they've already run up. And then these are things that can happen. And the reason I say that is because a penny stock has a very, very low supply of shares. So when everybody starts to sell at one time, it can cause a major price panic, and you can see situations like this happen. This is not going to happen on something like Apple or Facebook. It can, very unlikely, because there's so much liquidity there. There's so many people that have shares, and there's a lot of exchanges that can go on. Something like this with extremely low float, this is where you could probably experience a situation that I ran into, okay? So I hope you guys liked the video. This was probably the worst trade of last week, losing $900 in like 2 minutes. Welcome to trading, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys liked the video. Everybody, take care. See you in the next one.